Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tony DeMol Adams' YouTube channel. I think this is our 31st Midweek Scoops, and I'm coming to you this week from Bundaberg in central Queensland, coastal central Queensland. And Tony, as usual, is in Sydney, and the finals are upon us in the NRL. And Tony, before we go to your column this week, and don't forget to read the column on 9.com.au. Your reaction to the Josh Addo-Carr news. He stood himself down from the first week of the playoffs after a random roadside drugs test.
Yeah, well, the big question I asked on Twitter, and no one seems to be able to answer it, he insists he's innocent. Well, if he's innocent, why is he standing down? So something doesn't quite add up, and I don't think it's passed the pub test. And I don't think, truth be known, he stood himself down. I think he was told he's standing himself down, as is often the way these days.
Well, what he told the club and the first tweets from Phil Gould didn't seem to be fully informed, did they? It seemed like there was a bit of a communication breakdown somewhere.
Yeah, and I think it's all been complicated by the fact that the cops didn't follow protocol, and not a criticism of the cops because they were called away to an emergency, so they didn't quite finish the process of giving him his second swab or whatever. And so I think he thought he was sweet to go. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but he might get out of this scot-free. So he got lucky because there was some major drama out in Sydney's inner west, shall we say.
Okay, let's move on to your column. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I want to thank everyone for their support up to this point in time. I'm going to give my own little merch business a bit of a plug at the end as well, because I bought some great stuff into the country from England, which is now available. But Tony, Spencer Leniu, very eventful start to the season in Vegas, and you're tipping through some quotes you've got a very eventful final series for Spencer Leniu as well.
Yeah, well, as fate would have it, he's up against the Panthers, the club he was at for the last 4 years before moving to the Roosters. And he learned his trade under Moses Leota and James Fisher-Harris, and they're probably two of the best front rowers in the game. And what he's saying is he's going to take it to these two guys on Friday night. There's no hatred. It's not one of those situations, but he basically wants to show them that he was the apprentice. He now believes he's the master. And as we know, he sort of sails a bit close to the wind. He certainly tests the referee's patience. So could be a very fiery game out there Friday night, the Roosters and the Panthers. It should be very interesting.
Now, we had an item about Peter O'Sullivan earlier. He was your lead item a couple of months ago, the recruitment guru. He's now gone to Newcastle, which means the Knights man who has that position is out of a gig. So what's he going to do? It's Adam Doyle, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. And Adam Doyle deserves a bit of credit. The Knights, I think, have made the finals something like 4 times in the last 5 years. And they're sort of on a limited budget up there, basically because Kalen Ponga takes up so much of their salary cap. So he's done a pretty good job, Adam Doyle, and I know he's got a good reputation. And there's a few clubs looking at him. And just quickly on recruitment managers, they don't get much of a mention, but to me, it's almost as an important job in a club as a coach. You look at what Peter O'Sullivan has done at the Dolphins the last couple of years, and it's quite amazing when you think they missed their first probably 10 targets, all the big names are after. He put together this roster, and it looked a very ragtag roster at the start of last year. Just about everyone, including myself, thought they'd come last. I almost made the finals, and they almost made them again this year. So it just shows you how important a job it is, because they pick the players, and picking the right players at the right price is a real tough job, a very delicate job. And these two guys, Peter O'Sullivan and Adam Doyle, are among the best.
Yep. Robbie Farah,
Yeah,
Tony, he's got a new gig after leaving West Tigers.
yeah, that's right. And a bit of background, Steve. I wrote about the reasons behind Robbie's departure from the Tigers a few months ago, and that sort of ruffled a few feathers. And Robbie and I, we used to get on well. Then we sort of didn't get on well, which often happens in rugby league. And he rang me out of the blue about a month ago, and I thought, oh, geez, this isn't good. But he said to me, basically, listen, I'm getting out of rugby league, and I just don't want to go on a sort of sour note. I've been offside with a few people, and he basically put out the hand of friendship. So I shook it, and we've stayed in touch ever since. And yeah, he hasn't wasted any time. He retired last week after 20 odd years as a player and a coach. And this week he's accepted a new job as his official title is head of partnerships with a sports and adventure firm called 247. And he's partnering, and he's Jai Ayub, son of well-known player manager Sam Ayub. So, yeah, he's looking forward to his new role, and hasn't wasted any time, as I said.
That's a good story about him wanting to, settle any differences before he got out of the game. That's
Yeah, a little
good
backstory
story. It's
there.
nice
I
to
don't
hear,
think
Tony.
you'll be sharing it.
And Brian McDermott is a guy well known to our Northern Hemisphere viewers and listeners. And you say he hasn't really got enough credit for what the Knights achieved this year.
Yeah, well, a few people have told me he's really created a big impression up there. Apparently, he was a former soldier. I don't know if he's SAS, but he's been described to me as a very tough man. And he's the defensive coach at the Knights, and their defence this year's been outstanding. And he's so highly regarded here that he was put up by Gus Gould as a potential Souths head coach before Wayne Bennett got the job. So he's made a few friends over here by the look of it, but hasn't got a lot of raps. So I just thought I'd mention him, and he's done a great job with the Knights, and it'll be interesting to see how they go on the weekend.
Now he's a former SAS soldier, so very quickly, everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to read Tony's column. We did promise you a second show this week, so we have to deliver, even if it's after the Friday night game. We promised you we'd do that. I have lobbed in Australia with some great English rugby league merch. I've got some Cass jerseys, some of the NRL gear that's only sold in England. It's licensed only to England. So I've got some Brisbane Broncos supporters shirts. My book, Two Tribes, is available again for not the exorbitant price you pay on Amazon. But Harold Horder, that's Harold with an Horder with a, giving myself a bit of a plug there.
Steve, all the viewers want to know your sale. Does it include the samurai sword above your right shoulder? Because I, for one, would like to bid for that.
What would you do with it?
Well, as a journalist with a few ex-players after me, it could prove a very handy line of defence.
But just one less now, as you just told us. One fewer player wants to hit you with the same.
Exactly. That only leaves about 999, with Hopper leading the charge.
What a great way to end. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for supporting us, and we'll speak again before the weekend is out.